Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the final match of the round of 16 for the 4K Mania World Cup. We are ending this party with Mexico versus Venezuela in the losers bracket. My name is Dynascape, and speaking of parties, I've got another rocker in the house tonight. Sunapple is joining me today in the booth. Sunapple, how we doing?
Hello, hello, hello. I'm ready to party rock in the house tonight, actually. Especially with these two teams here, Venezuela and Mexico. Venezuela being seed 32, and Mexico, I believe, seed like 16 or something. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yep, exactly. Seed 16. They had a pretty close match against UK in the winners bracket. Unfortunately, fell 3-5. Gonna see if they can change things up over here. Venezuela, of course, the outside contender, seed 32. They're gonna have to see. Mexico's a really tough nut to crack, so they have a lot to do before they can even think about getting to that match point.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, we saw Mexico play really well last week against the UK. Just barely not making it out of the winners bracket stage against that team. But they played really well. They had really close matches throughout everything. They had a lot of opportunities to be able to take multiple points, and I feel like they're going to be able to basically play a lot better and play a bit more optimally, especially in this match. Just coming out of that loss, maybe coming in, having some more energy, wanting to win this match a lot more.
Yeah, one thing I like about Team Mexico is their versatility. Just looking at it on paper, I thought that really they'd just be kind of choosing rice maps, and they have some very good act players in that regard with Plutus, Envy, and Darkchizer. However, in their match against UK, they actually transitioned into playing some of the LN maps and even picking Hybrid 1 once those LN picks were exhausted. So they've got a lot of tricks up their sleeves. I think they can really go anywhere in the map pool. Venezuela, I think, could probably pick something like SV. I don't know if they want to protect it, but I do think that it is a good idea to probably get one of those in there. Other than that, I can see them picking Rice for the most part. They do have a very, very physical team as well with Yuka, Fangirl, and Shiesty.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Something in the rice would be interesting, but I feel like this versatility from Mexico, as you were saying, is really, really good. And it's actually looking like, I believe this is Venezuela will be protecting LN2, so we will be seeing Owl Infinity here as the protect.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting, I think, for Venezuela. They did end up picking LN3 against South Korea last week as their first choice. However, obviously against South Korea didn't work out too well. Maybe they can do a little bit better against Mexico, because honestly, Venezuela put up some pretty scary scores in the round of 32. Mexico actually opting to protect Hybrid 1. That's gotta be bad for me. I'm very excited to see that map's bit of a banger, and it's got a lot in the map itself.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and it is really interesting to see a hybrid actually being protect, since I feel like there's only a handful of teams who actually opt to ever protect a hybrid, since they are really 50-50 for teams. Generally, they don't really pick them, especially as their first few maps. But it is interesting to see that they are very confident, especially on that hybrid one. Maybe it shows that they really want to play in that hybrid pool or something. But now we will be seeing the bans, and Mexico is going to opt to ban that LN3, most likely just off of that protect on AO Infinity. Maybe they feel really comfortable, or they know Venezuela feels really comfortable on that LN. Maybe just wanting to take away one of their options, just trying to keep as little chances for them to take any points as possible here. Though, with that being said, they still do have two of the very difficult LNs here, Owl Infinity and Future Eve, especially Future Eve. But now it's going to be Venezuela's ban, and they will be opting to ban SV2.
Yeah, SV2 gone complex. We've seen time and time again throughout this weekend SV2 being banned. It is the harder SV, it's more memory focused compared to Mr. Scratchman, so no surprise there when comparing the two. And just in general, SVs are pretty, I wouldn't say disliked, but teams don't want to put the time in to learn 2 maps every week, so it's just it's gonna happen eventually. You even
Yeah,
see
at
some of
least
the
there's
teams from players from Team Mexico saying W ban.
yeah, at least there aren't as many double bans on SVs this week. We've seen Mr. Scratchman a lot actually. But with that being said, we will actually be going into Hybrid 3 for Venezuela. Amigdata, I learned to say the name. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see since I believe this is one of the first few times that Hybrid's actually been picked first, surprisingly.
Yeah, not too many times. In general, in the scope of MWC, do we see Hybrid picked first, and we even have Hybrid 1 as a backup for Team Mexico because they did protect that. So gonna be seeing a lot of hybrids here, a bit of a change of pace than from what we usually see in tournaments where teams like to split off into Rice or LN specifically, at least in the early game. We are gonna see Venezuela pick Hybrid 3, and they probably have a good reason for it.
Yeah, most likely, but it is kind of scary seeing this for Mexico, or picking this against Mexico, because as you were saying, this team is very versatile, and especially because every single one of their players generally are actually able to play both LN and Rice, so being able to combine those together is something that hybrids are really, really good for this team, for this Mexican team to be for.
And it's pretty interesting too. I think this is the first time we've seen Narutoru in this lineup. Last week against UK, basically for anything LN or hybrid affiliated, we had Shadow GM, but they are going to sub out there. And also Plutes is going to sub out for Darkchizer. Usually we see them on the LNs and hybrids as well. Outside of Venezuela, we've got Evo, Konamp, and Yuko Fangirl. Nothing really surprising there. That's kind of their roles in this matchup. Evo and Yuko Fangirl probably going to be seen on pretty much every map that's going to be played in this match.
Yeah, I mean, they really are the core of this roster right now. I believe Venezuela is actually one of the smaller rosters, correct? Or am I wrong? I believe they only have 4 players, right?
Last year they failed to qualify with 4 players, I believe, but then this year they have 6. They finally have a full squad of 6, and they squeezed in with C32.
I see. Well, with that being said, it's looking like just starting us off, Mexico will have a slight lead, but we have just seen the first few LNs. We did see Evo take a few 200s, I believe, 1 or 2, but really the lead is flickering back and forth. So there's not much that can be said, especially in this intro.
And actually, before everyone gets to the combo cap, Yuko Fangirl is going to take that first miss. Probably the best place to miss if you are going to do it. So lead not too large for Mexico, looking at about 6,000 points. So it's not only the miss from Yuko Fangirl, but rather the accuracy difference going on right now. We see Konamp with a 99.6, Evo with a 99.3. Both of them definitely lower than their counterparts on the Mexican team.
Yeah, and that accuracy difference is really doing a lot. I think even without that miss from Yuko Fangirl, they most likely would still have the accuracy advantage, especially with this basically like 992, 993 pace from Envy, and another miss comes out from Yuko Fangirl, and it's halfway through the map. There's still quite a few sections where Mexico can miss, but they will need to take multiple very dirty breaks if this lead is going to swap over to the Venezuelan team.
Yeah, Yuko Fangirl surprisingly taking 2 breaks in total, trying to get back up to 400 combo. Evo and Konamp are hanging by a thread right now, 99.1 and 99.4 off of them. It's very, very scary when you're in those accuracies holding an FC, because I feel like at that point it's where you aren't so super confident with the map and you can break it just about any time. Envy, Narutoru, and Darkchizer doing great. This is a wonderful team score from them.
Yeah, this Mexican team score is absolutely insane. It's really hard to beat, especially for some of these already seeded teams. Envo taking a break, losing out on that FC. Konamp is the only FC on Venezuela for now, but as I say that, they do take a break, so no FCs on the board for Venezuela. And what looks to be, unless something happens in the ending, Mexico will be triple FCing, but nope, never mind. I cursed them. Envy taking a break at the last minute. But either
Yep.
way, Mexico will be taking this point.
Double curse from you, Sun Apple. Hopefully, we won't get any more for the rest of this match. Really good FCs for Naruto and Dark Chaser. 986 and 987, and Envy lagging just a bit behind with a 980, almost 5. Even with those two misses, very, very good team score. It definitely shows why they are a mid seed in this tournament. Venezuela pretty good as well. Edvo and you, Fangirl, picking up two slider breaks each around. Both of them 963s, and Konam just a bit above with a 967.
Yep, and it's looking like we will be going to SB1 actually. An interesting pick. This will be Mexico's pick, so I am honestly interested. I have no clue how good Mexico is on the SV since I'm not sure whether they played them last week.
I want to say they did play OMG against United Kingdom. I'm not sure what happened during the match. All I know is that they did play it, and for that team we had Shadow GM, Envy, and Plutus come in. So I think that's gonna be what's going on here. I think Venezuela is gonna see Shizd as they did play the SV qualifier, and then Yuko, Fangirl, and Edvo are gonna stay in the course.
Yeah, and it does look like they actually did quite well. This Mexican team did quite well on the SVs last week, so I actually think this is quite a good pick. Maybe just opting for something that's a bit more unconventional, something that you know that Venezuela isn't too great at, especially considering just how difficult these SVs can be for these lower seeded teams if they haven't played them all too much.
Oh yeah, these SVs have been pretty tricky. I mean, we saw in this last match that you casted, Poland versus Germany. Poland had, what, a triple FC, and it was something like a 96, 97, 97, which is kind of crazy to think about. So pretty easy to FC if you put in the time and effort, but still very hard to act. That's supplemented by the fact that it is OD 7.5.
Yeah, that is definitely true. It is really important that these players have actually played the map at least a few times just to be able to get this timing down, especially because there's some teleports, some stutters that can trip some people up, especially if you don't know the song specifically, or any like Getty maps in general.
That's super true. I think one of the standout sections I have in mind is about like a third or the halfway in, where it turns into a slow jam with some LNs, and then immediately within a measure goes straight into a teleport fast jam. That's gonna be one to watch out for. I'll try to point it out. We have LT making sure that everything stays clean in the lobby.
Yeah, we're not trying to have anything bad happen in the lobby, but it looks like the Mexican team now has their 3. And we are just waiting on the last Venezuelan player to play right now.
Yep, and again, as I said, at least in the qualifiers, Shizd did play for them. Gonna have to see if they come out here or if anyone else had practiced this in place of them.
Yep, but I mean, honestly, it looks like Flute is going to be the one playing in for Venezuela, so we should be getting ready soon, judging off of that we have everybody. But after this, it'll be interesting to see what Venezuela plays, since I believe, I'm not sure what they're going to opt for. Maybe something to the rice field. I know they did alright on Amygdala, or Amygdata, I should say. I always get them mixed up. So maybe something in rice, maybe something in LN, just trying to play, I guess just trying to stay on one side of the map pool, just trying to see what you're better at.
Yeah, I mean, Venezuela kind of looking like a wild card right now. Mexico, honestly, too, picking SP1 out of nowhere. They maybe had a good plan. Maybe they sussed out that Venezuela would ban SP2 and practice SP1. But here we go, LS Plus making their debut in MWC, at least in match play. This is their first appearance. Gonna have to see what they can do in this SP pick.
Yep, and starting off, our second pick is going to be Mr. Scratchman. This is Mexico's pick, and It will be interesting to see how well all these players have practiced it. I am interested in seeing how LS Plus plays this, since I'm not sure how much they practiced it. And judging off of those first 100, I don't think they've played it all that much, especially considering looking at the Mexican squad. Everyone above that 9.7 almost.
Yeah, it's almost looking unfortunate for Plus. It seems like they don't have a grasp of the rhythms in this map at all. And that's really shown by their 86. It really does look like it might be a side read for them. You have to wonder if that break in time for the Venezuelan team, where they couldn't muster up that third person for a little bit in the lobby, was because their SV player couldn't get online for some reason in Shiesty. But otherwise, Advo and the Yuko Fangirl doing pretty well, 97.5 for both of them, but just outshone by Mexico, 99.8 from the side of Plutus, and Mapsa, Shadow GM, very good supplementary scores, 99.55 for each of them.
Yeah, this Mexican roster has such just a great SV skill right now. Plutus with this 99.8, we've seen so many good scores on this map, and that just adds to another list, right? Or another one to the list, as long as it is an FC. We see 5 FCs across the board, Plutus being the only one to have missed. But even the other 2 players on Venezuela, Evo and Yuko Fangirl, definitely have played this map at least a few times. Being able to get a 98 or above is really, really good, honestly, especially if you have only played this a handful of times.
Yeah, those Jack teleports really catching out Plus, and even dropping Yuko Fangirl's accuracy quite a bit. Evo did manage to survive the storm, but still, again, as you see on the screen, that bar is really blue right now. Yuko Fangirl taking a drop as well as Plus. Evo the only FC left on Venezuela, and Mexico's lead is about to be 500,000 points.
Yeah, and we are approaching this last section of the map. And Plutus has dropped a bit of accuracy, but it hasn't been enough. This 400k gap is just way too much. I think a lot of things would have to happen if Venezuela even wanted to have the chance to take this pick. And Plutus does take a break, unluckily, but even then, this score is really, really good. And I believe this should just be 2-0 for Mexico right here.
Yep. Overall, a pretty good team score by Mexico. A couple of bad judgments that could have been avoided, but again, you can't expect perfect play in match play all the time. Venezuela picking up 2 S's, unfortunately, plus looking like they had to sight read in place of another player for the Venezuelan team. So Mexico going up 2-0, and at least Venezuela gets the next pick.
That is true. We will be seeing. I honestly have no clue what Venezuela will want to pick. Maybe I feel like they should go for more of the one-sided, or like either Rice or LN. Really choose one. You protected Al Infinity, so maybe go for that. Unless you want to go for something a bit more coordination heavy in Features Eve.
Yeah, one thing I would like to see, Advo actually getting out that LN2 pick. One thing I would like to see Mexico pick next would probably be Rice 3. I really do want to see their top physicality. I think testing their jacks is a good way to see it. I think they could really bring out a really good team score there. But for now, Venezuela with AO Infinity, density pick of the LN pool. Gonna have to see if Venezuela can take that first point off Mexico.
Yep, and we will just be waiting for the rosters to get set up. I believe it'll be this roster for Mexico, Shadow GM, Nyarutoru, and most likely Envy. Oh, actually it'll be Darkichizer.
Yep, Darkichizer coming in for Mexico. I think this is their first appearance on an LN map for them. Venezuela still sticking with Yuko Fangirl and Advo. I think their LN player is Konep. So yeah, we are going to see them come in, and that is going to be their full roster in Nyarutoru for the side of Mexico as well.
Yep, and with that, we should be getting ready very soon. And honestly, I am interested to see Venezuela's score on this map, since this is quite simple, I guess, in terms of LN difficulty, since it really is just straight like inverse streams. Not really inverse, it's like just just kind of jump stream LN, which most people should be able to play, especially even if you've just played Rice a few times. As long as you're able to read and get a hang of this kind of patterning, I think this should be one of the easier ones and one of the ones that we've been seeing a lot of higher scores on.
That is true. It is still at a pretty hasty 191 BPM, but we have seen a lot of the lower seeded teams kind of struggle with it. I've seen a lot of around 99.2 or 3 averages on AO Infinity. Even in the side of mid-seeded teams, they can't get 99990s. It's very, very scary to think about for the later pools.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And just waiting through this intro a bit.
I don't blame them. Honestly, if I were in match, I would not hit the skip button.
Yeah, just like make your opponents a bit more nervous, you know, make them wait a bit longer, give them some time. But I think we will be going into the map now, just starting off AO Infinity are LN2, Venezuela trying their best to get their first point on the board, especially on their protect. It is very important that they are able to take this. And it is looking like it's in favor of Mexico, but it's not by that much, honestly.
Definitely boosted by a shaky start from Edvo, currently at a 99.3. Everyone finally at the combo cap, and Konam has density ramped up. Finally takes a break. Edvo as well. Yuko Fangirl even. That's a full FC clear from Venezuela. No more on the board for them. Mexico doing just fine. 99.68 from Dark Chaser and Shadow GM, and Yaratoro holding on with 99.5. Still better than their best player from Venezuela.
Yeah, and as you're saying that Yaratoro taking a break, but Konam actually had traded it before, so it's not even that big of a deal. Konam struggling a bit on this map with the 97%, and that's really understandable. Here we see Shadow GM and Yukio Fangirl taking a break, but both of them missing is really bad for this Venezuelan team. Mexico still has their full combo in Dark Hitchhiker, even in this highest accuracy in the lobby.
Thankfully, we do get a little break in the map, so you can try to supplement your combo just a little bit, but we are gonna get right back into the density sections. Konam, unfortunately missing within this little coordination section. Mexico is still doing just fine. No 99.7s on the board for them, but just a wonderful team score. Overall, Yuko Fangirl and Envo, unfortunately, under that 99% mark. It's looking very, very rough for Venezuela on the side of Alliance right now.
Yeah, and we're going into this last quarter right now. It is really important for Venezuela to be able to keep up with this combo. Shadow DM does take a break, so it will be below that 400 combo mark for quite a bit. And this is really the time for Venezuela to try their best to catch up as much as possible, but actually this lead is growing in favor of Mexico due to all the 200s coming out from the Venezuelan team. And it's getting up there to the 100k mark right now.
Yeah, standout player for me right now is going to be Dark Chaz, of course, the only FC in this lobby, doing wonderfully. And I thought they were a Rice player, honestly, looking into the stats. They didn't play any LNs last week, but they are really turning it up here now as Mexico is going to take it over Venezuela. Another break point for them. It's going to be 3-0.
Yeah, and that's even on Venezuela's protect, so that is not that great for that team. However, I do want to highlight Edvo, who did have the one miss. So I believe that was just one break in one section, most likely a misread, which does happen from time to time. But yeah, all the Mexican players doing really, really well. Everyone above the 99%, and everyone above the 99.3, which is really, really good, honestly. But now it is going to be Mexico's pick. They don't have their SV, they don't have SV2 open, so they can't pick that. But I would suspect something in Rice or Hybrid right now, honestly.
Yeah, I'd have to see what is open for the side of the Mexican team. But with LN2 being up and with Mexico taking both LN maps, it's not a bad idea to just get it over with, get that LN sweep. Oh, actually, I was reading it wrong. I forgot that LN3 was banned by Mexico, actually, so maybe that was a misstep by them in the protect and ban phase. LN1 looking real juicy right now.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. You saw that she played significantly better than Venezuela on Owl Infinity, so you could definitely just opt to go for Future Z, or you could use this breakpoint to your advantage to be able to maybe adventure into the higher or the top half of the pool, and you will actually be seeing Rice 3 and Liftoff. This is the one that you really want to watch, huh?
Yeah, it is because again, when I initially saw the players for the Mexican team, I thought that they were really good at Rice Act. So I just wanted to see how far they can push it as the rounds progress and the maps get harder and harder. And with this 142 BPM Jack map, I think this is a really good test of whether or not they can really survive in the quarterfinals, because that's when they might have to face a better team when it comes to physicality.
Yeah, that's definitely true, and especially having the practice in match, having the nerves on you and everything, basically, just being able to play this very difficult 140. It is 141 BPM core jack. However, it is a bit light, so honestly, especially if you are comfortable on this BPM, which most players are, it is generally, I guess, easier. But it's still, especially under the pressure, having to hit so accurately and having to just do so many things at once, it is important to be able to have this practice.
Yeah, totally agree there. One thing I really do want to note is there's still levels of comfortability when you get into that higher echelon of physicality though. Yeah, sure, maybe you can FC this with ease, but how many 300s can you get on this map? How low can you really bring it? And that's what I'm really looking for here. So Plutus, Narutoru gonna be in for Mexico. I'm not sure who their third player. It's gonna be Envy. That should have been expected, honestly. Venezuela gonna see Mach and Yuko Fangirl, and probably Edbo. Maybe not. Maybe Shiesty.
Yeah, actually, it'll be Flutes. Second time
Yeah,
they will
I'm
be
totally wrong.
playing. I don't believe Monko or Monkin has actually played yet today, so it is interesting to see them play. We haven't seen any Rice maps come out, so maybe they're the Rice specialists on Venezuela right now.
That is true. So this is pretty interesting lineup. I think we haven't seen this iteration of each team in match play yet, so it's going to be interesting to see how they work together and how they get this team score on liftoff.
Yep, and it looks like the MP recommend has gone out. We will be going into this map. Just another, our second pick for Mexico here, opting to let us, or opting to show us any Rice map here. We will be seeing every single map in the little pools here.
Yeah, first Rice pick coming out. This is 2.5 minutes, and it does get denser as the map progresses. So it's just a real test of stamina. Uh, Even for the Venezuelan team, I think that they are pretty top heavy when it comes to physicality, but I think they might struggle once it ramps up just a little bit.
Yeah, and especially after playing this, though it is only 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but if you're trying too hard to focus on ACK, it can definitely mess you up in terms of stamina, especially because of, I guess, how Core Jack is in general. You can get nervous even for like a millisecond and then instantly get a 200 of a miss or anything, and that can be really bad for any team.
So far, though, everyone's doing just fine. Mocking with a 99.9, same thing with Yuko Fangirl, plus lagging behind just a little bit, 99.7 from them as it starts to get into the Jax, Plutus, Envy, and Narutoru coming out very strong, 99.9s from all three of them.
Yeah, and this is what you were talking about. This team is really good at this physicality, and especially physicality accuracy, just being able to stay on time, being able to be basically like a metronome at this point. And we are 1/3 to the map. We see Monkwin taking the first break, and that is not great to see. This is going to increase the lead for Mexico, and another break from Flutes, and actually it'll be a triple break on Venezuela, and this lead just instantly expands in the favor of Mexico by 30,000.
Yeah, huge break from all three of them. Yuko Fangirls was particularly ugly. I think missed on basically a straight measure. drops down to all the way to a 98.7. Makin taking a second miss. Somehow 2 misses, but still at a 99.7. That's very, very impressive from them. Triple FC still on the side of Mexico, and the only one who's really dipped in accuracy is Naruto, 99.89, but that is very scary.
Yeah, and Mexico is just, oh my god, this team score is really, really good, honestly. Everyone almost at this 99.9 right now, and we're only a third of the map left, so there is a chance for misses to come out. But I'm hoping that will not happen, honestly. Plutes, as I say this, will take a break and did have some accuracy drops, is at this 99.8 now.
Yeah, I think it would have been probably one of the best team scores for Mexico if Plutus had held in that FC. We are finally seeing the densest part of this map come to fruition. So many jumps, so many triples, and a couple of quads just to really make sure you're paying attention. Yuko Fangirl and Plus did drop down into the lower 99s in terms of accuracy, but still honestly held on very well. Makin again picked up a couple of misses, but that accuracy is crazy for the amount of misses that they got, and Envy missing in the last 30 notes. Really, really unfortunate. Won't damper their score too much. That's still almost a 994, and again, just crazy team score from Mexico. Gotta be in the upper half, maybe even in the top 8 if every team were to play this map.
Yeah, Envy does lose out on that V1SS. We do only see Niao Toru having the only double S, but it looks like Yukiko Fangirl seemed to have some sort of issues. They didn't even get a 200 whenever they did miss. They just got the 14 misses and the 100. So maybe a keyboard issue, maybe like lost concentration or something happened. Like your cat walked over your keyboard or something happened that caused that. But we will be seeing Venezuela's pick now. I honestly have no clue what you would want to pick if you are Venezuela right now. Maybe go back to the hybrid pool. That AMIG data wasn't too bad, honestly, especially considering the differences between Owl Infinity and Liftoff. So you could go the weird play of picking Mexico's Protect and bad for me right now.
Yeah, bad for me. Maybe even Alia Jakta Est hybrid 2. But it seems like right now Ellen and Rice are very much untouchable for Venezuela. Did like what you said with Yuko Fangirl's cat. Maybe it's a sleeper agent or something like that.
Yeah, it's actually a Mexican sleeper agent. It's like those carrier pigeons. They have carrier cats, actually, that the Mexicans flew out to Venezuela just to walk over Yukiko Fangirl's keyboard right now.
Yeah, just the long con to get that point. But honestly, it wasn't even needed. Mexico did have such a very scary trio of Rice Act players coming in. Venezuela picking Alia Jakta Est, just as I had suggested, should be at least closer than Halo Infinity and also Liftoff, but gonna have to see how close it is.
Yeah, and I think this is a good pick, honestly. You did really, really well on the Hybrid 3, so maybe if they are able to get some FCs on this map, they can get a lot closer, or maybe even take a point if Mexico takes a lot of misses on this map. But we will just be waiting on these lineups to get chosen once again. I would assume that Dark Hitchhiker comes in for Mexico right now, since they played really, really well on that on that LN too.
Yeah, I think Dark Chaser did really well. Shadow GM might also be an option for the Mexican team, or even Plutus. I'm not sure.
Yeah, this Mexican team is so versatile. It's really, they can put any one of those 3 players and basically get similar scores. It's really just a matter of who feels most comfortable on this kind of map right now.
It should be said that Alia Jakta Est, I would say, is a bit more Rice leaning. I'd hope you guys would agree with me. So maybe a Rice specialist. Dark Chaser is coming in for the Mexican team. I think we are ready to get into it. Mexico looking to take this 5th point and look for match point.
Yep, and it is really important for Venezuela to be able to pick this, so they are able to deny that match point right now for Mexico. Since really, after this, if Mexico does pick, they will have match point as well as be in their pick. So they will be able to pick basically anything that they feel really, really comfortable on, or something that they feel confident in winning pretty easily.
Yeah, it's pretty scary to think about that if Mexico does take this point, secures Alia Jakta S, they still have Future Eve as a very good pick, considering how much they won AO Infinity by. That might be a good option for them. But for now, we are going to start off with Hybrid to Alia Jakta S.
Yep, and I'm really interested to seeing any of the Mexican scores right here, since they played really, really well on the MIG data. So if they are able to replicate that performance, then I feel like they should be able to get this match point right here and maybe close out the series very, very soon.
Ooh, that long anchor catching out Konam early on in the map, just before the density starts to ramp up. But hopefully that doesn't mean that Konam can't put out a good score on this 11,000 points to the side of Mexico so far, and that's surely helped by that miss, but also Edvo with a pretty low accuracy FC 99.2 for them. Envy and Narutoro doing pretty well, and as I say that, a couple of 200s drop from them. Dark Chaser matching Narutoro and still beating any other player from the side of Venezuela.
Yeah, but Yukiko Fangirl definitely playing a lot better, at least compared to some of the other maps. Having probably their best accuracy by quite a lot. Konam also having good accuracy, just struggling a bit more on keeping that combo, honestly, since they haven't been able to find those multiple misses. And as I'm talking about that, they find another one, and that drops their accuracy right back down. And this Mexican lineup is basically untouchable in terms of whether they will be missing here.
Yeah, we are in the back half of the map. Dark Treasure finally taking that first break for Mexico, but that was straight out earlier by Konam. Yuko Fangirl, as you said, doing way better compared to their performance on, I think, Hamig data, where they picked up two pretty spread out misses. Edvo finally dropping as well. So Yuko Fangirl, the only FC for the side of Venezuela to Mexico's 2 FCs right now.
Yeah, and I just want to highlight Envy's score right now. The 99.8 is so good. And we are getting a fourth away left in the map, and we're really just seeing the score lead increase for Mexico, and it's getting to that 100k mark. It's getting kind of hard for Venezuela to even have a chance unless multiple misses come out from every single one of the Mexican players, but Konam just constantly taking breaks, and that is not helping their cause out all that much. And Edvo as well doing the same, and I believe this should be a pick for a point for Mexico as well as match point.
Yeah, Envy dropped a little bit in terms of accuracy, still got that 990, and someone missed on the last note. Not sure who, but pretty unfortunate from them. Narutaru and Dark Chaser, pretty good scores overall in that 980 range, still kept it very, very clean overall, supplemented Envy's score, and unfortunately Venezuela just could not get it going, specifically Konam, 12 misses. All of those were pretty spread out. Edvo did pick up a 4-miss run, but they were able to combo through a lot of it.
Yeah, and here we go. We will be seeing Happy Arnold. Definitely a fan favorite map right here, and something that I feel like is really good for the Mexican team to play. They saw that they did really, really well in Liftoff, and that's a pretty physical map, and now we have, I want to say, one of the hardest maps in the pool here. So probably something that Mexico feels really confident on, considering that Venezuela didn't play all too well, I guess, compared to how they did in the Liftoff.
Yeah, 100% agree on how Happy Arnold is probably one of the hardest maps in the pool. Very sad that Mexico is not going to pick Bad For Me. I think that was their protect. But, I mean, when it's a toss-up between Happy Arnold or Bad For Me, I can't really blame them.
Yeah, that is true. Both the maps and songs, honestly, are pretty good. I definitely do appreciate them. here, but we will just be waiting. I believe this will be the lineup. I feel like these are the same rice lineups for both the teams, so it is good to see that they kind of understand who's going to play what at this point.
Yeah, pretty interesting to see how Narutoru has been utilized in this round of 16 map pool. We didn't see them at all again last week against the United Kingdom. Not sure if they're present, but still a very interesting fact. Venezuela gonna see plus Makin and Yuko Fangirl. So no more Edvo, no Shiesty to be seen this week. I know that was one of their very physical players. Pretty unfortunate that they can't make an appearance here.
Yeah, that is definitely very unfortunate, especially considering how Venezuela kind of needs that very hyper-physical player for these rice maps. But I think this should be it. We should be seeing the MP Star command coming out as soon as possible, as long as there are no changes. Unless it looks like there may be 4 Mexican players in the lobby right now.
Yeah, I think. Oh, there we go. So subbed out for Shadow GM. I think Shadow GM was hanging out in the Venezuelan side a little bit before I saw them in slot 1. So yeah, we are going to see Shadow GM come in here, and Star Command does arrive.
Yep, and Shadow GM, I believe this is the only time they've played in the match, correct? So we will be seeing not their first time playing in WC, however, their first time playing in this match specifically. And it will be going into match point for Mexico right now on Happy Arnold. Mexico's pick, not their protect though. They still haven't picked that, so they even if they do lose this, they still have Bad For Me bat in their back pocket if they absolutely do need it.
Yeah, I'm still trying to think about whether or not we saw Shadow GM earlier in the match. It's kind of hard as the match goes on and on, especially when you are in the 6th pick. Last week I know they did play the LN Hybrid and SVU Fangirl, taking that first miss. It was pretty clean overall, still hanging at a 99.6, tied with Makin, but Flust, again, kind of a low accuracy FC right now, 99.1. Hopefully they can get it up, but those rolly bursts coming in and immediately drops 0.5% in accuracy. Narutoru and Shadow GM actually trades it out, so right now that lead for Mexico is very, very small.
Yeah, this is definitely the closest lead that we've seen for Mexico right now, but Mogquin taking a break is not that great. This lead is still very small, so any misdrops from Mexico can cause a lot of issues. Maybe 1 or 2 drops is all they can get, but LS Plus taking a break definitely helps out Mexico, gives them a bit of room for comfort if they do need to miss. Or maybe they get a really, really bad judgment, like really dirty break at some point, especially on any of those split shows or those jacks.
Yeah, Bancho break taking us out with Narutoru still hanging on at 99.6, and again, Envy, just a standout player for Mexico. We are getting into this back half, and they're still at a 99.8, someone you can just really rely on at pretty much any skill set, especially in the rice department. That's gonna really help Mexico get the 60,000 point lead against Venezuela.
Yeah, but I do want to add that Yukiko Fangirl also has quite a good score actually at the 99.75, trying their best to cancel out Envy at this score. But it's just not going to be enough right now. They will need quite a bit more. We are going to the 4th, or only a 4th map left, so there's still quite a bit of an opportunity. This is the closest score that we have been seeing on any of the maps, so definitely good for Venezuela for now. The best opportunity that they will be having for a bit.
Yeah, those split shows coming out, the funny anchors coming out, but this really is the last Ki here. Venezuela needs something to happen, but it's just not there. We are going to get this final break, but these last couple of notes really aren't a sweat at all. Mexico should be able to FC this very easily. Maybe a bit of timing issue on this last little jack, but nope. So we are going to see Mexico take it versus Venezuela. 6-0, full sweep coming out from them. But honestly, it wasn't without a very, very good fight from Venezuela. We did see them try to, switch things up. We saw every skill set being utilized in this match. We saw Rice, LN, Hybrid, and SV, but unfortunately, it was not enough for them.
Yeah, and with that, this was a losers bracket match, so Venezuela is eliminated from this tournament. However, Mexico will be able to move on to next week, and this is our last match, so I think this will be it until qualifiers show, or not qualifiers showcase. I'm sorry, until round third or until quarterfinals showcase. So be sure to stay tuned for that.
Yeah, we'll try to get you guys that info. I think it should be at the top of the hour, so in around 15 minutes, but don't quote me on that. Congratulations again to Mexico for making it through. They are going to face Canada in a North American clash next week. And thank you to all the teams that got eliminated this weekend. Thank you guys for playing. Sad to see you go, but hopefully next year you can make a better run.
Yeah, congratulations to everyone who did play, who did qualify, however, are eliminated. It is really hard. This is probably the most tough competition that any player is able to go through. But with that being said, that's going to be it for me, unless you have anything else to say, Dinah.
Nope, just stick around for the showcase. We'll be back very soon, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Goodbye!
Let's